Charles Hope is a children's book author. He grew up on a farm near Wagga Wagga, or Wagga as most of us call it, and now lives with his wife and two daughters in Melbourne. He studied arts and screenwriting before working for Wild Dog Books, where he now creates non-fiction books for primary school students. Charles, lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, very well. As you say, two daughters, one of which is very recent.
Charlie, when you are writing non-fiction, we end up researching so much stuff. Have you got a favourite thing or a couple of favourite things didn't make it to the book that you really wish could have made it?
Oh, good Lord. Yes. Well, every book there's invariably there's always something that you wish you could have squeezed in, whether it's a little fact or an accompanying image that you thought really would have added just a great element to the book. But more recently, one of my most recent books is a book about robots, and I think, and as I was this as well, I think a lot of people when they write about robots, they tend to include the negative. People are, I think, inherently quite afraid of robots, what the future might hold, and what part robots will play in that future. So there is a tendency to, sort of look at robots being, rising up against their masters and, wreaking havoc and that sort of thing. And so, there have actually been some really interesting examples of robots or, AI, robotic technology, where they have kind of come close to being quite bad. I think there's a famous robot called Sophia, who, when she was asked by an interviewer as a joke, the interviewer said, "Oh, so what, are you going to hurt humans?" And Sophia responded, "Okay, I'll hurt humans." So it was kind of, the AI on that one didn't, wasn't, the algorithm wasn't all it was meant to be. But otherwise, there are, I think, self-driving cars that have run red lights. There's sort of, there are parts out there where robots have really, gives us food for thought about how we utilise the technology. But anyway.
I always think of HAL. I saw 2001 when I was a kid, and that scarred me for life. That was terrifying.
Yeah, no, I think HAL has a lot to answer for as far as people's fear of, he was terrifying. It was terrifying.
Charlie, with robots, the future is now. One of the things I've never understood was cyborg and robots and how they were different to each other. I really loved the way you described that so simply.
Oh, thank you. I must admit, I actually had no idea. I would have also used these terms interchangeably, but to me they meant the exact same thing. If I was watching a movie and a robot came up, an android, cyborg, they were all exactly the same. So I was pleasantly surprised when doing the research for this book to learn how to actually make that distinction.
What's your favourite, robot, cyborg, or android? I'm not very good at anything robotic. Have I covered them?
I kind of like the idea of I think this is what he is in iRobot, where the kind of the humanoid, where you're not strictly one thing or the other, but you're a combination. I like the idea of, and this could very well be, future that technology we see in our lifetime is, implanted technologies and that sort of thing, and prosthesis being sort of taken to the next level. So you might be a fully functioning human being, if not for an arm that you've lost, and then you've got a robotic arm that is then sort of integrated into your body. I'm fascinated by the combinational aspect, I guess. Yeah.
So when you write, are you a hand writer or are you a computer writer?
I think if I had a pen in my hand for more than 5 minutes, I'd get a cramp, and computer all the way. Well, sometimes depending on the project I'm working on, it might start off just writing notes on my phone, and then when I'm out and about on the train, that sort of thing, and then coming home, unload it all into the computer, and then maybe sometimes back and forth, but primarily 100% computer is where I'd rather be.
And do you work on one project at a time, or are you one of those writers that has a couple on the go at a time?
The non-fiction stuff is definitely one at a time. I think it's much easier for me to focus on non-fiction content when it is just one project at a time. That being said, fiction projects I'll often have numerous ones on the go. Some of them will drop off, and I might come back to them a matter of weeks or years even, which isn't. Now that I say that, not a fantastic trait. It'd be nice to be able to work more rigorously and sort of take things to completion. But yeah, the fiction stuff is definitely much easier to dip in and out of, and when the mood strikes me, I guess.
I imagine too, with your two daughters, and with one only being 2 weeks old, you would have kind of just got into a rhythm, and now it's all on its head.
Yeah, absolutely. That being said, I'm finding with the my second child, the rhythm is we're already falling into a rhythm that's working out quite well for us. So yeah, it's definitely been an upheaval, and a wonderful one, obviously. But it's we're finding our groove, and my personal writing projects maybe aren't falling into that groove so well so far, but I'm very confident that along with my healthier eating and my exercise regimen, that all of these things will come together very soon. Wonderful.
When you say personal writing, what sort of writing do you do? Do you still do writing, or?
So it's all sort of fiction, picture book stuff. Yeah. So I mean, there's across a few genres, I guess, but yeah, it's all fiction. That I have the patience or ability for a long form novel. So yeah, but that being said, I love fiction, picture books. So.
That's the advantage of having little people. You get to read everything that's around, and it just fills the world, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the day that the public libraries are open again, so that we can go out and, because on a weekly basis we'd be borrowing 20 to 30 books and just reading fabulous books. Some of them that I read as a child, but more just so much new stuff. Every week there was new stuff in the library. It's and my daughter, she loves reading. She loves having stories read to her, but equally I get a real kick out of it too. So
yeah, which is fabulous. Does she have a favourite book at the moment?
A recent one that he is loving, Izzy and Frank. I don't know if you've read that one. Yeah, that's a gorgeous book. She loves my oldest daughter. She loves all things beach and birds and that sort of thing. So it's right up her alley.
Charlie, in these strange times, what's next, or is it has it slowed down a little bit at the moment?
As I say, we're finding our groove, but we're I think my personal work for the time being, I'll still, if I can find time wherever possible, I'll be trying to get more work done. But it's possibly, a quiet time for the next couple of months, which will be great because, there's nothing better than being able to spend more time at home with, your little ones, especially through such a, constantly changing and, exciting time. So I think I'm quite happy to sort of put the pen down, computer down for a little while.
Yeah, it is good because you'll turn around and they'll be 26 and you'll go, where did that go? Or is that just me? It happens so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely true. You hear it from everybody, but it's disgusting how fast they grow up, and so much. My eldest is thankfully not starting next year, but the year after, but schools come around so quickly, and that was impossible to imagine, only 6 months ago. So it's horrifying.
Charlie, probably a main question, but in all the books you've written, because there's a lot of wild dog non-fiction that you've done, have you got a favourite or a favourite topic?
I think it's I've thought about this before a bit, and I think so. The Close-Up series was like a very early wild dog series, focusing on single animals or groups of animals, and I did a book on birds of prey in that series. And it just reminded me of how much I loved birds as a kid. I was a member of the Gould League in primary school, and I'm just trying to remember now if Gould League was broadly nature or if it was specifically.
I reckon, because I was too, it was both, but it did have a really strong bird, like birds to their thing, but it did a little bit. Because if I got something that was about plants, I'd get really disappointed and go, come on, now, the birds.
Yeah, the insets that they had in their magazines, I'd always hang out for them, and I think that's what I remember is having some fabulous big Birds of Australia poster in my room at some stage. But yeah, doing Birds of Prey reminded me of that childhood love, and I mean birds, raptors are pretty hectic and gorgeous and terrifying, and there are a lot of people who love birds, and consequently there's a lot of fabulous bird photography out there. So it was a really enjoyable book to do because it was a subject that I was really passionate about, but also I had the joy of working with a whole lot of fabulous content when putting it all together. So that was actually, and as a result, another book, we did a series, the Book of Australian XYZ. And so one of those was birds, and that was a longer form book and a more comprehensive book, but equally as enjoyable because it was just looking at great close-up pictures of birds for a long time. Wonderful. Yeah.
I hear you. I don't know if you can see over my shoulder my yellow cockatoo feathers. Bit of a fan of the birds.
It's gorgeous.
Charlie, it's been an absolute delight to talk to you today. Good luck with Robot. It's a fantastic book. I've really enjoyed reading it, and we'll look forward to seeing what's next.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll keep you posted.